because I really want to skip through the whole long agenda that I had and move away from TV systems and onto an interesting topic. And that is, we're coming to the other end of the guest experience now. We're focusing a little bit more on the booking experience. I want to get Joe and Hannu in, and I want to talk a little bit about guest interaction during the booking experience, chatbots, and how that ties into artificial intelligence as well. So I'd really like to give the floor to Joe and Hannu and just talk to us a little bit about how you can engage with your guests better using some of these types of solutions.
Thank you, James. Well, first of all, before we actually go to booking, there are still a lot of things you can do with AI and chatbot also in the room. After you get there, I think there are some of the questions in the audience that somebody wanted to know. But if you think about the booking, there are so many things that people would like to get an answer to before they can commit themselves to visit or book your hotel. I always like to use simple example of the pets and dogs. If you are a dog owner, you are not going to go to stay in a hotel unless you know for sure that you can get your dog with you. And many times it's not clearly visible on a hotel webpage, or at least people don't spend time searching for the site. So they want to have the answer quite fast. And if you think, for example, how the world is right now, people are working from home, learning different communication tools, remote work. They want to have the same thing from the hotel experience. If they have something to ask, they want to get the answer right away in a simple way, instead of installing or downloading anything, or I'd say picking up the phone, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, totally agree. Has anyone else in here, and possibly Nick and Darren as well, from a slightly different angle? I'm interested to hear your guys' take on that kind of experience, on how we can improve that guest communication, and whether it's possible to get it integrated with more solutions to ease that level of communication with the guest.
I might just say, I think it is really important, really important. So too often, I truly believe that our hotel industry has kind of made a guest experience a very anonymous experience. We just sort of walk in, we walk out. A lot of people talk about bypassing a front desk and going straight to a room and sort of devoid of human contact. Human contact in a hotel doesn't have to be face to face, right? But you still want human contact. There are hundreds of questions I have, right? Either as a first timer, I'm going to have questions about where things are and what times service is open and how much things are and public transport and best restaurants to eat at and so on. And I have many questions. But as a multi-repeat, I want to be in constant contact with you, right? Regardless of where I am, particularly if you are intelligent enough to recognize that multi-repeat and to be able to offer me benefits that separate me from that first one-nighter guest and target them towards me so that I can take advantage of them in the minute. And that example of that meeting room availability was one, but there are many. All of those demand a means, a simple and efficient means of connection to the guest in a mobile context. And today that is probably best done through a mobile, but it could be done through a watch, it could be done through other guest technology, and it may be associated with an app that the hotel has, who knows. But super important, and tremendous value add if done well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I ditto that, Nick, as well. And I think the problem with the bots is the bots need to not be obvious that they're bots. Okay, there are, and I think most people will know what I mean by that. And sometimes you go onto an online chat for support, and within seconds you realize you're not talking to a person, you're talking to a computer. Now sometimes those are very intelligently handled, and they're very quickly routed to the right answer or very quickly routed to an individual. But there are many, many other times when you just know you're getting nowhere, and then you get really, really frustrated. So one of the simple things that I like is when hotels have adopted things like WhatsApp, being able to just, I'm already using WhatsApp. I don't have to download anything. And by communicating to me that there's a WhatsApp link either through the TV or from some other mechanism, and I can directly talk to them, I really like that. But I do think that chatbots can be incredibly useful in big organizations, just as long as they feel like you're really listening properly to the customer's question.
It's a very interesting point. I'll give back to Hannu and Joe in just a second, but I have a funny little anecdote about that almost goes against what you've just said, Darren, but I'm sure it'll all make you smile. And I spoke to a provider of bots some few weeks back, and they were telling me about they have a repeat visit guest who goes onto their chatbot and chats to the bot, knowing that it's a bot. Just seriously, this is honest truth, and they will ask it, hi, how are you type questions just for company, which is really interesting and shows that familiar people who've become familiar with bots, are very happy to be able to use them and things like that. I will say, me myself, I have no problem if I'm talking to a bot. If it gives me exactly the answers I want, I don't mind if it's obvious that it's a bot. But I know for some people, they don't like that. But anyway, I'll pass back to Hannu and Joe and just let us know a bit more about that kind of area.
Yeah, first of all, what Nick said, it needs to be done right. And that's absolutely true. It's we've seen a lot of different kind of bots out there. Some of them good, some of them very good, and then there are the others. But it's I think that's not the first time I actually hear that somebody is talking to a bot just to have the company. Yeah. And I think the younger the people visiting hotels get, the more we can see these. It's just like a normal way of life to communicate with the device rather than face to face. The younger the people get, so I would say that the people afraid of the bots or not like to use them are because they have had bad experiences. But like if the bot can really provide you the answer, people don't really care if it's a bot or a human, as long as it works.
Yeah, and it's worth adding that at the moment, with the situation with the airlines and the travel industry on its knees, they've been overwhelmed. So if they didn't have bots, they would be even more overwhelmed. It's been terrible as it is. I don't know if any of you have tried to engage with any of the airlines to move flights. It's been, it's taken you a day and a half to get an answer back. So I think there is definite value in it, but it can also be frustrating that it's done wrong.
Yeah. And the very reason why we actually got into the chat business in the first place was, like you said, the time of the wait. People do not want to wait, not even a minute, not in several days. So there are ways to overcome that and make the guests really pleased and serve the world that way.
That communication is so key. I always tell the story of an experience I've sort of had a lot when I've been staying in hotels as guests, and it shows how almost disjointed the communication can sometimes be. And that is, I often will state in any preferences, if I can, that I like 2 extra firm pillows in my room on my bed. And I will get to my room, and of course the 2 extra firm pillows are not there, which is fine. We can't always get this right. But then there is the communication is not going. So I pick up the phone and phone the front desk and say, hello, I'd like to get 2 extra firm pillows. And they write that down and pass the note to someone. And they pass it to the housekeeping manager, who radios through to a housekeeper, who goes and picks some pillows up and comes and knocks on my door and delivers me 2 soft pillows. And this is an experience, maybe not exactly like that, but something I've had a lot. Now, if you have a system that can capture that request and put it into a ticketing system, whatever that might be, then you're almost having a good chance of improving that guest experience, because it's very obvious what the guest has typed. It can't be misinterpreted unless they've put it in wrong, in theory. And if it's integrated into a ticketing system, or it raises it somewhere that it gets to the right people, that they can just pick it up, then you're reducing those areas of error and risk of making a mistake. And I think this is an important part, because that starts to contribute to that overall experience.